Hey everyone, this is Derek Davis of Jurassic Time, and wow, what a trailer, right? Yeah, so for those who don't know, the second trailer of Jurassic World Rebirth just dropped, and while I'm not going to talk about the whole trailer in this video just to keep my focus, I will just say right now it's fantastic, and you have to watch it. It's probably an even better trailer than the first one, to be honest, and it definitely sells more of the movie. Although I'm kind of getting worried that maybe we're spoiling a little too much now, so I definitely don't want to see any more trailers at this point. Unless there's more Lagoon. But then again, I feel like the Lagoon sequence is a lot of it is getting pretty spoiled now. So yeah, maybe I won't cover that anymore. But anyway, so I'm going to focus on the Lagoon sequence from the trailer because it feels like I mean, obviously not 100% straight from the novel, but it's lifting it pretty close. And, we'll even compare it to some storyboards again from the original Jurassic Park because, it was once considered for the movie. So, yeah, here we go. So here's the first shot of the Lagoon from this new trailer. And, it's pretty simple. T-Rex is just standing there along the edge of the river. They're right in the raft right there. I'm wondering when this part of the sequence takes place because it doesn't look like they're near the dock, if I'm not mistaken. So, and it's pretty close to the edge of the river. So, yeah, I'm not sure exactly where in the sequence this is because if y'all remember in the novel, the river sequence kind of takes place over kind of a long period of time because we keep kind of cutting back and forth between the river sequence and then stuff like at the control room, that kind of thing in the original story. So it is interesting if we do that in Rebirth or if it's just kind of contained to one sequence and that's it. But I'd be curious to see what happens. So yeah, as the trailer goes on, they're paddling really fast to try to get away. And, the T-Rex is kind of just wading to the water. And see, you don't see the dock anywhere in the background here. So that's leading me to believe that this takes place maybe a little bit later in the movie kind of thing. Hard to tell for sure. So T-Rex is just kind of getting in the water and it's just right there on them. Like they're so screwed. And then here's a shot that was kind of teased over the weekend. The T-Rex is under the water line. And, it's kind of hard to tell if it's actually swimming or, again, if it's just kind of walking along the riverbed like it's described, in the book. But, it's getting very close to them. And here's a shot I want to kind of point out. So it's in the water and it's just kind of like, bubbling along the water. It's this kind of, that's top of its head and neck are kind of protruding above the water line. And if I could just go over to these storyboards from the Phil Tippett collection that I have. So basically the same idea. So the T-Rex is like in the water right here. And then it's kind of slowly getting further underneath the water. And then keeps going toward them. And then, it's completely submerged under the water now. So, that's kind of straight from the storyboards, honestly. Comparing it to, the trailer here. So I just find that really, really cool that they carried that over. So as it continues, the T-Rex, flips the raft and they're all falling out. And the badass shot of the T-Rex right there. He looks so good. I know in the previous video, I mentioned that director Gareth Edwards was comparing his design for the Rex to Gwangi. But honestly, it just looks a lot like the original T-Rex, but it looks even more like the original T-Rex than it did in any of the Jurassic World movies. It's kind of crazy. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But again, with the storyboards, they actually, kind of do that too in this version of the storyboard. So see, here's the boat. And then the water is like bubbling, frothing, and then the T-Rex just like bumps it basically. So in this version of the storyboards, it just kind of bumps the raft. You have to remember though, this is from kind of like the last version of the river sequence that they were planning to do, where it's really just like this, little skirmish basically. It doesn't really kind of follow them like it does in the book. But in these other storyboards from Tim Lawrence, this is the best shots I got, unfortunately, because no one that I know ever got them. But you can see it's coming in the water right there, bursts out, and you can kind of see it's like right under the raft in that board right there. It's kind of like bumping and lifting it up. And as you can see, it's along the water line there. The raft's right there. That's the best shot that we got from these storyboards. But all these ideas and the visualization of them, it's been around since the 90s, basically. Because I think a lot of these storyboards, especially, these are like the earliest version of the river sequence I've ever seen. It was around 1990. It was like before the book even came out, which is insane. Because that's the thing. Crichton did his first draft for Jurassic Park as a screenplay in September of 1990. And then his book came out in November 1990. But like, how often does that happen, right? Anyway, so yeah. So this kind of visualization of the sequence has been around for a very long time now. So anyway, back to the trailer. So in the next shot, we've seen before, but it's still cool to see again. T-Rex is in the water, and he's in the water. Obviously, it's after he just flipped it, and he's chomping after him, just like we've seen before. But then this shot, oh, I love this shot. And as you can see at this part of the river, now this has to be a different part then, or unless they kind of just like fell a long way. Because now it's turned into rapids. So it was like clear water before, right? Yeah, it's pretty clear. There's not much going on in the water there. I mean, they're pretty close to, not too far from the lagoon, I guess. But, we still don't see the dock. But now suddenly we're in rapid territory. And with this badass shot, I can't get over how cool that shot looks with the T-Rex. And he's right there, still coming after them. So I feel like this has to be kind of a staggered sequence. They kind of go through a little journey, and then here they are bobbing in the water. I'm also reminded there was a shot from the behind the scenes footage where the raft is kind of like, in an area that has a lot of tree coverage. So yeah, I feel like there has to be a lot to this sequence. It's not just, a little skirmish like it was almost going to be. So here they are in the water, and oh no, Dad. And he's right there. And now this is a part we also saw in the behind the scenes footage, like the overturned raft. So the T-Rex is basically, gonna stomp on it, and she's underneath. So yeah, we saw this in the behind the scenes footage where there was like cardboard cutout of the T-Rex head. Now it's confirmed it's the T-Rex head. I still thought it was possible it could have been another dinosaur during this sequence that kind of, comes after them. But no, they're sticking right to the book. It is the T-Rex that is approaching her as she's under the overturned raft. And as I guess they're going toward, like a waterfall or something, which is also straight from the book. Because obviously, if there's some kind of rapids forming like we're seeing, here, it's got to be leading to some kind of waterfall, or unless they already went down one. Although I don't see a waterfall in the background here. Not that I can really tell unless that's a waterfall. I think it's just the background. So there's still a lot to find out with this sequence, exactly what they did and, the sequence of events. But it is clear that they don't go off the raft, from going over a waterfall like they do in the book. They get off the raft because they get knocked off by the T-Rex completely. So, that's really, I say like, that's really it. But no, that is really it. This is all the shots really that we see in the new trailer of the Lagoon sequence. And I'm just kind of floored how much they've actually done of it. I mean, not only do we have the rafting, but we have like the buildup with the dock and everything. So yeah, this seems like they really did fully realize this sequence. The only thing that remains to be seen that we haven't seen in the trailers is, do they come across, any other dinosaurs along their journey on the river that they kind of have to hide from? Like in the book, they kind of hide from a pair of Dilophosauruses, but we do see a Dilophosaurus already in the first trailer when they're at the dock. So maybe they got moved there. But I still feel like, they kind of, I feel like they're going to come across something else. Now, in the trailer, I don't have the screenshot for it. Unfortunately, I didn't grab it because I forgot. But, she has a Aqualops that's in her backpack later on in the trailer. And I guess this could be the cute dinosaur of the movie, named Dolores, by the way, as we learn from the toys. So I don't think I don't think she has it yet. Because otherwise, and she has her backpack, but could it really just be in the backpack that whole time? I mean, I guess so, but I feel bad for the dinosaur that it could be drowning in her backpack, right? So I'm going to guess maybe she doesn't have that dinosaur yet. Because in the trailer, when we see it finally in her backpack, it is at night when they've met up with the rest of the crew. In the movie, like ScarJo and Jonathan Bailey and everybody. So I'm wondering if they acquire the Aqualops like after the sequence. I'm going to kind of hazard a guess that that's what happens. Otherwise, that poor dinosaur is going to be drowning in her backpack. So I'm hoping that that's the case. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is there going to be a lot more to this sequence? I kind of hope there is, because also in the book, the T-Rex kind of chomps at them between like the branches of trees, and that which we kind of saw a shot of that kind of foliage that I mentioned, with the raft in frame, for the behind the scenes. So yeah, it remains to be seen how much they're going to exploit it, but I hope they exploit it to the fullest extent. So there you go. That's the Lagoon sequence, continued coverage, if you will, from trailer 2 of Jurassic World Rebirth. What do you guys think? Are you even more excited for the movie now? I mean, there's a lot to be excited from that trailer. I mean, it just looks great. And, obviously I didn't even talk about the other mutant dinosaur in it, like a raptor pteranodon thing. Just a lot of cool stuff to look forward to. I mean, the movie's almost here, July 2nd. And it's like hardly a month away. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed and hope you all have a good one.